Blackwood Manor stood atop Widow's Hill, a looming Gothic silhouette against the bruised twilight. Its windows, like empty eyes, stared out blindly. The house was a monument to decay, its once grand facade now crumbling. The iron gates, rusted and twisted, seemed to groan a warning. Locals whispered of a darkness that clung to the manor, a malevolence that seeped from its very foundation. Tonight, the veil between worlds would thin, and the manor would awaken. The air grew colder as a group of teenagers approached the gate. They were drawn to the manor like moths to a flickering flame. Mara, the daring one, pushed the gate open with a screech. Sean, the skeptic, shivered, already regretting the dare. Lila, the quiet one, clutched her camera, her fingers trembling. Ben, the leader, tried to project confidence. He swallowed his fear. They were here. There was no turning back. Halloween night. The air was thick with anticipation and fear. A perfect night to tempt fate. "You guys sure about this?" Sean asked, his voice barely a whisper. Mara laughed, a high-pitched sound that grated against the silence. "Scared, Sean?" Sean scoffed, trying to mask his unease. He wasn't scared, not really, just uneasy. There was something about the manor that made his skin crawl. Ben clapped Sean on the back. "We'll be fine. In and out, just a quick look around." Lila, her face pale in the moonlight, said nothing. She gripped her camera tighter, as if it were a lifeline. They stepped onto the overgrown path, the crunch of dead leaves underfoot the only sound. Each step drew them closer to the looming darkness of Blackwood Manor. They were walking towards the unknown, and the unknown was waiting. The heavy oak door creaked open, as if protesting their intrusion. The stench of decay hit them first. Musty air, thick with the scent of damp wood and forgotten things. Cobwebs heavy with dust draped the grand foyer like ghostly shrouds. A once magnificent chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling, its crystals dull and lifeless. "Creepy," Mara breathed, her voice echoing in the silence. They moved deeper into the manor, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpets. Each room they discovered was a snapshot of a bygone era. A dusty gramophone sat silent in a corner. A half-finished game of chess lay abandoned on a table, as if time had stopped. Sean felt a chill crawl down his spine. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The deeper they ventured into Blackwood Manor, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. A sudden gust of wind slammed a door shut somewhere in the depths of the house. The sound reverberated through the silent rooms, raising goosebumps on their arms. Lila swore she saw a figure flit past the doorway at the end of the hall, a fleeting shadow that vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Ben dismissed it as their imaginations running wild, but even he couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease. They reached a room at the end of the hallway. Its door was slightly ajar. A pale, ethereal light spilled out from within, beckoning them closer. As they pushed the door open, a cold blast of air hit them. The temperature in the room dropped noticeably. It was a nursery. A rocking horse stood frozen mid-rock, its vacant eyes staring into nothingness. And above a dusty crib, scratched into the wall, was a chilling message. "Beware the Shadow Man." Section 5. The Séance. The message in the nursery sent a shiver down their spines. Mara, ever the daredevil, suggested a séance just for kicks, Sean protested, his unease morphing into full-blown fear. But the others, their curiosity piqued, overruled him. They gathered around an old Ouija board they found in the attic, its planchette cold beneath their fingertips. The air grew thick with anticipation and dread. "Is anyone here?" Mara whispered, her voice trembling slightly. The planchette remained still. Silence hung heavy in the room, broken only by the sound of their own breathing. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the planchette began to move. It darted across the board, stopping at one chilling word: leave. Section 6. The Shadow Man. Terror, cold and sharp, gripped their hearts as the planchette spelled out the warning. Before they could react, the room plunged into darkness. A bone-chilling cold descended, biting through their clothes, seeping into their bones. Panic surged through them. They cried out, their voices swallowed by the darkness. Then a pair of eyes, glowing an eerie red, materialized in the shadows. A low growl reverberated through the room, sending shivers down their spines. The Shadow Man. He was real. He moved towards them, his form shifting and swirling in the darkness. A creature of nightmares, given form. They scrambled back, fear lending speed to their limbs, stumbling over each other in their haste to escape the room. They had to get out now. But the Shadow Man was faster. He was everywhere and nowhere at once. Section 7. Fleeing for their lives. They burst out of the nursery, adrenaline pumping through their veins. The hallway stretched before them, seemingly endless in the darkness. The Shadow Man was right behind them, his presence a suffocating weight. They could hear his guttural growls echoing in the darkness, feel his icy breath on their necks. "This way!" Ben yelled, leading them down a maze of corridors. They ran blindly, their lungs burning, their hearts pounding against their ribs. The manor seemed to twist and turn around them, a labyrinth designed to trap them within its walls. The floorboards groaned beneath their feet, threatening to give way at any moment. They had to escape, but the Shadow Man was relentless. He was hunting them. They reached a dead end. A heavy, iron-wrought door barred their way. Panic surged through them, cold and suffocating. "We're trapped!" Lila cried, her voice high with terror. Sean rattled the door handle, but it wouldn't budge. "It's locked!" The Shadow Man's laughter, a chilling rasp, echoed behind them. They were cornered, nowhere left to run. Mara pounded on the door, her voice cracking with fear. "Help us! Someone, please!" But her cries were swallowed by the oppressive silence of the manor. They huddled together, their backs against the cold, unforgiving iron. The red eyes of the Shadow Man drew closer, gleaming with malicious delight. He had them now. There would be no escape. As the Shadow Man moved to strike, the heavy iron door behind them creaked open. An elderly woman, her face etched with worry, stood in the doorway. "Come, children," she urged, her voice surprisingly strong. "Quickly before he takes you too." Confused, terrified, they stumbled through the doorway and into the woman's outstretched arms. She led them down a secret passage, hidden behind a tapestry. The air grew colder, the stench of decay stronger. "Who are you?" Ben gasped as they hurried through the darkness. The woman glanced back at them, her eyes filled with a strange sadness. "I am the keeper of this house," she whispered, "bound here for eternity. And you children have stumbled upon its darkest secret." They emerged into a hidden chamber, dimly lit by flickering candles. In the center of the room, a crystal ball pulsed with an eerie light, and within its depths, they saw a horrifying truth. The crystal ball revealed the history of Blackwood Manor. They saw the Shadow Man, not as a monster but as a man consumed by grief, driven to madness by the loss of his family. He had made a pact with a dark entity, trading his soul for the power to keep his family with him forever, but the price was terrible. His family, twisted by the dark magic, became the very shadows that haunted the manor, trapped between life and death, forced to relive their final moments for all eternity. The old woman, the man's sister, had been bound to the house as well, forced to witness the torment of her brother and his family, unable to help them. "The manor feeds on fear," she explained, her voice trembling. "It lures the unsuspecting in, using their terror to fuel its power." They understood now. They had been drawn to the manor not by chance but by design, and the Shadow Man had been waiting for them. The old woman led them to a hidden exit, a small wooden door concealed behind a bookshelf. "Go," she urged, her eyes filled with a desperate plea. "Run and never return. Warn the others, this place is cursed." They didn't need to be told twice. They fled into the night, the screams of the damned echoing in their ears. They ran until their lungs burned and their legs screamed for mercy, but the manor and its horrifying secrets followed them. The experience had changed them, haunted their dreams. They never spoke of what they saw that night, but the fear remained, a constant gnawing reminder of the darkness that lurked within Blackwood Manor. And in their nightmares, they could still hear the laughter of the Shadow Man, a chilling reminder that they might have escaped the manor, but the manor had not finished with them. The haunting continues.